Hello everyone. So today my presentation is on Escherichia coli. The common name for it is E. coli. So this is the classification. E. coli is a bacteria and it belongs to the kingdom of Eubacteria. The phylum of Proteobacteria, the class of it is Gamma Proteobacteria and the order is Enterobacteria. The family is Enterobacteriaceae. Genus is Escherichia, and the species is E. coli. The morphology of E. coli, it is a gram-negative bacteria and is in a rod shaped. As you can see in this picture, and also the size is 1 to 3 times zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.7 micrometers, and is zero point 0.6 to zero point 0.7 micrometers in volume. It's arranged singly or in pairs. It's usually motile. It produces something called Erythrichus flagella, and that's why it enables the bacteria to move. And some of them produce polysaccharide capsules. The habitat of E. coli, they seem to thrive in warm, wet, and dark places that are rich in nutrients. The primary habitat of E. coli is in the GI tract of humans and many of the other warm-blooded animals. Most commonly, they're found in the colon of the large intestines. Once extracted, the bacteria cannot survive the harsh conditions of the outside world, except sometimes they manage to find their ways into lakes and streams or another host. Different subtypes of E. coli, because it is a very diverse group of bacteria. There are many different subtypes. The pathogenic E. coli strains are categorized into pathotypes. There are 6 pathotypes that are associated with diarrhea and also collectively called as the diarrheagenic E. coli. Um, so the 2 main types that causes diseases to humans are the EHEC and also the ETEC. So EHEC is often referred to STEC, which is the Shiga toxin producing E. coli. STEC is responsible for most of the outbreaks of E. coli infections in the US, and ETEC is the leading cause of travelers' diarrhea as it is all over the world. So some of the main diseases that are caused by E. coli, E. coli is the leading cause of UTI, which is urinary tract infection, which can lead to bladder infection and kidney infection. E. coli is also the leading cause of neonatal meningitis, which is an infection on the meninges of the brain. So as you can see in the picture on the right, so the meninges are right underneath the bones. So when there's inflammations or infections, then that would cause a lot of problems to the human body. Um, so a very severe condition is called hemolytic uremic syndrome, which is the HUS, and it infects the blood, which can cause death to human body. So how does the infection spread? Some common ways are consumption of contaminated food, unpasteurized milk, or water that has not been disinfected. Uh, Another way is through contact with cattle, as the bacteria can grow in animals, also through the feces of infected people. Some unusual ways are swallowing lake water while swimming, touching environment in petting zoos or other animal exhibits, but they do happen. Um, E. coli must release toxins which allow the bacterium to bind to the lining of the gut. So some of the symptoms of E. coli infections for the STEC type, most people have bloody diarrhea and stomach cramps that may be severe. Some people may have vomiting. High fever is usually uncommon. Symptoms usually last 5 to 7 days. So as mentioned before, um, the HUS is one of the most severe cases, and it is caused by STEC. And then for ETEC, most people have stomach cramps and watery diarrhea. Symptoms usually last about 3 to 4 days. People who are um, having higher susceptibility of getting the infection include children who are younger than 5 years old, adults who are of age of 65 or older, people with weakened immune systems, including pregnant women, and also people who travel to certain countries. Identification methods and testing. Um, so McConkey agar is the common method because E. coli ferments lactose, which can be discriminated from other non-lactose fermenting columns. The way that it is identified, so it is incubated for 18 to 24 hours for at 37 degrees Celsius. And then if there's a formation of pink or round medium-sized colonies, they are the suspect for E. coli colonies. So the cure for E. coli infections. For most of the E. coli infections, fluid replacement would be the best option. Usually mild uh, conditions would be resolved or cured. But for some more severe conditions, antimicrobial therapy might be applied. E. coli is usually susceptible to a variety of chemotherapeutic agents, though drug-resistant strains are increasingly prevalent. Um, and that's why treatment of patients with EHEC infection is not recommended because it can increase the release of Shiga-like toxins and trigger HUS. So the prevention for E. coli infection, um, so they include washing your hands thoroughly with soap and running water. Also prevent cross-contamination by thoroughly washing hands, counters, cutting boards, and utensils with soap and water after they touch raw meat. Um, we do not recommend people drink untreated water or swallow water when swimming. And we do not recommend people to eat raw dough or batter or eat raw meat or drink pasteurized milk and juices. Also, people should take precautions with food and water when traveling abroad. So some interesting facts about this bacteria is that it is the best or most studied free living organism, and it has a record of 11 Nobel Prizes associated with it. More than 700 serotypes of E. coli have been identified, and most strains are harmless and are an important part of the healthy intestinal tract. E. coli can also be used to make useful substances like human insulin, human growth factor, Taxol, which is a cancer treatment, and epidermal growth factor. Here's the sources for my slides. And that's it for my presentation. Hopefully you've learned more about E. coli.